Hi everybody, it's Cynthia Kane. In this tutorial, I wanted to focus a little bit more on week number 8, which is coming up, in which we're going to be asking you to finish your website on your Trail to Information Literacy and Beyond. This is your Wix web portfolio. And I'll touch a little bit on the reflection upon the research process as well, which will be your final project number 2. I do want to scroll back up here. You're also at the point where you could go ahead and do your quizzes if you have not already done these. We do have quiz number 1, back up here, checkpoint number 1, quiz number 2, checkpoint number 2, and finally checkpoint 3, quiz number 3. These are actually very good ways of gaining additional credits for your engagement activities, your credit points. So if you've not done these quizzes, you're actually ready to go ahead and do those right now, and we would encourage you to do that. Each quiz has 3 attempts, and the highest score of all 3 attempts will count. So you know that we've been focusing quite a bit on the creation of your web portfolio on Wix. Essentially what we want you to do on this, and I'm going to go ahead and click on Final Project number 1, and you've already done a little bit of this already. We want you to create a fairly comprehensive web portfolio on Wix, in which you are going to provide several requirements. And I'm going to go through these for you on my sample Wix portfolio and show you what to do on this. One thing that we want you to do on one page of your web portfolio is to provide a comprehensive overview of your research topic. Now, you're not writing a research paper, but what you want to do is think about the topic you've been doing for many of your learning assessments throughout our course, and think about this as an expanded abstract of perhaps 2 pages or 2 very long paragraphs. Now, we don't want you to go into a lot of detail, but it always helps to think about somebody who doesn't really know anything about your topic. What would you want to tell them that would actually give them a pretty good comprehensive overview? And that's going to be 1 page on your web portfolio. Again, I will show you in a little bit where that's going to go on your web portfolio. Now, if you did the infographic learning assessment, you already have the second point already done. That's your JPEG or your PNG file of your infographic for the topic. If you did that, that's already on your web portfolio. If you have done the recommended resources assessment, we know that you actually wound up doing 2 recommended resources with a citation for each of those 2 resources, a summary of each of those resources, and then finally an evaluation of each of those resources. If you completed that particular learning assessment, you have done 2 of your 5 recommended resources. So what you would want to do is go back and find 3 more. So basically you need to have a total of 5. Now you could use the 2 that you found on your evaluation of sources learning assessment if you still liked those. And remember, those had to be different from your other 2 recommended resources for that assessment. So that would give you 4 out of the 5. For all 5, you need to have a citation for each source in your preferred citation style, a comprehensive description of 5 to 6 sentences of each source, and then a comprehensive evaluation of each source, again, 5 to 6 sentences. Again, think in terms of what you would really recommend for an individual. That will be another page. And then finally, you will have a page in which you're going to include 3 sources that you really would not recommend. And this one can sometimes be a little bit more challenging. Think about sources that maybe you found throughout this course that somebody else might find as well, but you really don't recommend these. They're not credible, they're not reliable, maybe they're a little bit misleading. But basically what you would not recommend to somebody who wanted to know more about your research topic. Now this portion needs to include a citation for each of those 3 resources, and you're actually going to do a description and evaluation in 5 to 6 sentences total. So you're not actually having to write as much as you are for the recommended resources, but really focus on what's included in each of those sources, but then finally your evaluation of why you would not recommend those for somebody that might be doing research on that topic. We have included here 2 sample e-portfolios. These are from previous UL100 classes. I'm going to click on the second one. Now, this one actually included a little bit more than you have to, but it's still a good example. So this particular topic dealt with cyberbullying. The topic overview is actually here. And you can actually use some facts and statistics here. Go ahead and make sure that you're providing some sources for those statistics, but you might want to include that in your topic overview. Here was the infographic for cyberbullying. They included a few more in terms of statistics, but you did not have to do that. Now, when this portfolio was created, the recommended resources was actually called the annotated bibliography, but it's essentially the same thing. So we have a page in which the recommended resources were included. This is another way that you could share your recommended resources, by the way. You actually could share it in a Google Doc. If you do that, make sure that you have the link set up for anyone to view only. If you don't set it up to share so that it's a different way, we won't be able to read it and we won't be able to view it. But if you set up a link on Google Docs so that anyone with the link can view, Megan and I will be able to see that. We'll go back over here. And the useless sources, again, the sources that were not recommended, this was set up on another one or another Google Doc to share. And I'm going to go back over here. So now I'm actually going to go into my sample portfolio that I've been doing on Wix. I'm already logged into Wix. And I wanted to show you, in case you're still a little bit uncomfortable or unclear on how to rename your pages on your portfolio. So let's go into Select and Edit Site. And I want to edit my site here. Now remember that you may have to do a lot of cleanup on the template that you've chosen for your Wix portfolio, because there may be a lot of extraneous information that wound up being on that original template. When you go up here to Home, this is actually where you're going to see different pages. Now I have already renamed these, but I do want to show you how I could go back and maybe rename these again. I'm going to go to Manage Pages, and I might want to change this one to Topic Overview. So I'm going to go to Rename. Now I'm done with this. And I can do the same thing for any of these pages. If you have any extra pages in here, you can actually click on any that you would want to remove, and you can delete any extraneous pages as well. And let's go back to Topic Overview, because I wanted to show you something on here. Now, you don't have to do this, but on your topic overview, you might find an interesting video that might talk a little bit more about your topic. You could include that as some extra information as well. It's really very easy to add this kind of information to a page. I'm going to click over here on Add. And if I go over here to text, I want to add a paragraph. And you see that it kind of added it here, so you can't really see it that much. However, it's very easy on Wix just to click on a box and then just drag it. I'm going to click on this paragraph, and I'm going to click on Edit Text. And this is where I can start typing in my topic overview. So you're going to actually add a text box to your topic overview page if you need to do that, and then this is where you can start typing in your text. Let's go to Recommended Resources. Now again, if you have completed this particular learning assessment, you've got to start with this. There are two ways that you can include all 5 of your recommended resources. I mentioned that you actually could include a link to a Google Doc. I added another text box here. I'm going to move this up a little bit. And if I go to Edit Text, I would click over here on this link. Now, the link will actually let me do a couple of things. If I wanted to add my shared link to a Google Doc, I would go to Web Address. I would paste that URL for that shared link, and I would want that to open in a new window so I can read that a little bit better. If you have all 5 of your recommended resources on a Microsoft Word document, you can go to Document, choose your file, and you can upload your document on here. And then that way we could click on that document and we could read that Microsoft Word document. Now, the other thing you could do, though, is you could just go ahead and copy and paste all of your text for your 5 recommended resources into this text box. It's really whatever works for you. We're not actually requiring you to do anything one way or another, but it's just whatever works for you. And you can do the same thing with the non-recommended resources as well. And the topic overview, again, you can just start typing that directly in the text box that you would add. Now, we do encourage you to have some fun, too, with changing some different elements. So you can change your page background, for example. I just happen to have this on here. But if you find something that looks kind of interesting, there's a lot of different backgrounds on here that Wix does offer to kind of jazz it up a little bit. And let's click on one here. It looks very relaxing. And I can apply this to all my other pages as well, if I wanted the same background. And we'll just make sure that actually worked, and it did. So you can change things around a little bit. Notice there is an image here. I could go here to change image. And again, I could actually search here for any freely available images that might be available on Wix that would be copyright free. Or you could find a copyright free image, or you could upload maybe one of your own pictures if you wanted as well. Whatever might happen to work for you. And notice here that I could actually even look for images, I could look for videos, I could look for a lot of different things. So I'm going to do smoking just to see if there's anything out here. And indeed, there is. And again, all of these are freely available. That looks like kind of a cute one. Stop smoking for children. Oh, that's one I want to buy. Now, we don't want you to actually buy an image, so please do not do that. Look for something that is freely available. We're going to do choose image. And then I can just go ahead and choose that image. If you decide that you want to undo anything in Wix, you can always undo, and then you're good to go there. Wix will generally auto-save, but it's also a good idea just to go ahead and save this as you go along. You can always preview, so you can see what your website looks like as you go along, and we can go back to editor. And finally, again, you would publish, and when you are ready to submit your completed web portfolio, copy that, go back over here to website, and when you submit this assignment, you will again submit that as your website URL. And then Megan and I will take a look at that, and we'll go ahead and grade it. This is going to be due on Friday, December 6th by 11:59 p.m. We're going to leave this. And just real quickly, I'll hit on the final project number 2. You do need to complete both of these final projects with a grade of pass to get a particular grade in our class, by the way. So the reflection upon the research process, this is going to be final project number 2, and we hope you have some fun with this. We want you on this one, again, by December 6th by 11:59 p.m., to write and submit a one-page minimum reflection on everything we've done with this class. Think about the chapters that we've discussed in our textbook. Go back to your research plan. Maybe think about, did that plan work for you? Did you have to change? Did you have to modify some places where you searched? Did you have to modify some deadlines? And also think about one item that you learned in this course that you did not know about before and how that item might help you in future semesters. So that might be searching in databases. It might be something about copyright. It could be something about science literacy. Anything that you learned that you really think is going to help you in the future. And describe one item that you would still find confusing that you'd like to know more about or you didn't find useful and why you think this is so. And this will be your final project number 2. Well, we have really enjoyed having you in this class. We know that things have gone very, very fast. We encourage you to reach out to Megan and to reach out to me with any questions, certainly about the science literacy assignment, but also about the web portfolio and the reflection upon the research process. And good luck.